I thank the gentleman for yielding. The Affordable Care Act for the last 10 years really has been anything but affordable. Prices have gone up every year in spite of what we were promised. It's only been the last 2 years that premiums have actually begun to reduce, and that is because of some of the policies enacted by the current administration, expanding the usability of limited duration plans, expanding association health plans. So when we talk about this bill to expand the Affordable Care Act, what we're really doing is increasing the unaffordability of health care in this country. Now, this H.R. 25 establishes a new reinsurance program, and it's going to cost $10 billion per year forever. There's no end date. This reinsurance program does not include some of the longstanding protections that ensure that federal funding cannot be used to pay for abortions. If we want to pass a bipartisan reinsurance policy, Energy and Commerce Republicans have a bill, H.R. 1510, which includes reinsurance coupled with structural reform of the Affordable Care Act and gives states more choice on how to repair their markets that have been damaged by the Affordable Care Act. And it is offset by stopping bad actors from gaming the system. Importantly, it does include the Hyde protections and therefore protects life. H.R. 1425 also punishes states that choose not to expand Medicaid by cutting their federal share of Medicaid funding. So let's be very clear about this. A state such as mine that did not expand Medicaid reevaluates year by year. But if they choose not to expand, if they say they can't afford what this expansion would bring to the state, now this bill proposes to reduce the funding, the federal match for the traditional Medicaid populations. And who are they? Blind, aged, disabled, medically fragile, children, women. Why would we want to do that? Now look, remember the reason that we have some states expanding Medicaid and some not is because of a Supreme Court case, the National Federation of Independent Business versus Sebelius, which ruled that threatening states' Medicaid funding for not expanding is unconstitutional. Sections 204 and 205 of this bill would violate those very same principles and coerce states rather than incentivize them to expand Medicaid. This will be struck down by the Supreme Court as well. Lastly, this bill uses offsets that would actively harm our nation's coronavirus response by using offsets from H.R. 3 that would require the government to set prices and confiscate dollars from pharmacologic developers. The congressional budget analysis found that such policies would lead to substantially fewer new drugs coming to market. We really can't afford a world without the next remdesivir. I'll yield back to the gentleman.